It's an honor for me to be able to come out here and share part of my story with you this morning. It's also an honor, quite frankly, to have an opportunity to belong to this unique organization. I joined a little less than a year ago, but I joined in time to attend the Growth Summit in Louisville back in October, and my takeaway from the Growth Summit was that obviously I was impressed with the content. I was equally impressed with the commitment and the energy in the room. But quite frankly, I was most impressed with what I felt was a culture of care and concern amongst Tugboat members for each other. I think this is a remarkable organization. When Dave called to ask if I'd consider participating, he had a number of topics in mind that he thought would add value to the group. One is my unique growth strategy. I am averse to debt. I refuse to risk capital. I refuse to put profit streams at risk, but I expect my company to grow at an accelerated rate. Try to wrap your head around that. He also thought I would add value if I talked about the challenges I have managing a dispersed workforce of thousands of employees across the country in a low-wage industry. Also thought there'd be value if I talked about my story of David and Goliath. I compete on a daily basis with 4 primary companies. Those companies are 10 to 25 times larger than mine, significantly more resources than I have, but I'm winning. And there were other topics, but the common theme around our success as an organization, my success as a leader, has been using the unique culture of my family business to accelerate the growth, accelerate purposeful growth in a mature industry. And as Evergreen leaders, it's easy for us to wrap our head around what purposeful growth means. It's also easy for us to understand the power of a unique culture. And I think culture will probably be a common theme in other presentations today and tomorrow. But it's hard to discuss. You have to feel that within an organization. So what I thought I'd do is introduce you to my industry and the challenges that I face on a daily basis. I'll introduce you to the company briefly, some of the successes I've had, and kind of the back office concepts by which we manage our people. Then I want to share a message to kind of wrap things up. So chances are you saw the movie. If you didn't see the movie, you might be familiar with the movie. Kevin James plays Paul Blart, who is an aspiring law enforcement officer, but he can't pass the physical. Not being able to be a police officer, he's a security guard in a mall. Paul's passionate about his job, but he's underappreciated and he's disrespected. This is what I do for a living. I have thousands of Paul Blarts, literally thousands of Paul Blarts, who work for me throughout the country. Oftentimes they're underappreciated. Oftentimes they're disrespected. But these people are hired and expected to protect billions of dollars of infrastructure, billions of dollars of assets, the safety of millions of lives. And while they're doing that, they're expected to do it with Ritz-Carlton-like customer service with everybody they encounter. For that responsibility and for that expectation, they're grossly underpaid. I love my people. I admire what they do, and I have respect for people like Paul Blart. So I know we have one Tugboat member who's on this list, might be more. It's my big, hairy, audacious goal in my company. It's not revenue growth, it's not market expansion, it's not international expansion. I want to be on this list. But I have a unique challenge. The unique challenge is that the job of a security guard is often ranked by Career Bliss, reported by Forbes magazine, as the most unhappiest job in America. I accept those survey results, but I aspire to my goal. And I aspire to my goal because of my people, because of the profession. I want to start by sharing a story, 2 stories actually. It's the most powerful lesson I've learned in my career, and I learned it at an extremely young age. It involves a uniformed security officer by the name of Vito. Second story will involve a manager, former manager by the name of Bruce. I've had great mentors. I'm a longtime member of YPO, have a powerful forum. Great consultants, great advisors, learned great lessons from my dad. The most powerful lesson I learned in my career is from Vito. Vito ran a small job for us that we still have today back in St. Louis. My dad sold the job back in the early 80s probably. He managed and supported the job, built the initial relationship with Vito before I joined the company. When I joined the company, we transitioned that responsibility to me. 2 years later, my brother would join the organization. It would become a family affair. Well, Vito was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and he lost the battle. When funeral arrangements were made, I left the office to go to the funeral home, parked my car, walked to Vito's casket, went to kneel at the pew, pay my respects, say my prayers, wanted to talk to the family. And as fast as I was going to kneel down, I stood up, did a beeline for the door, straight back to my car because I had to regain my composure. You see, when I got to the casket and I looked down, I saw Vito. But I didn't expect to see Vito in a Whelan Security uniform. Vito had on a brand new starch white shirt, black clip-on tie, plastic name tag, 2 Whelan patches, midnight navy polyester pants. I knew Vito was a proud man. I knew Vito liked his job. I didn't know Vito loved his job. I didn't know Vito loved his company. And I didn't know that my company represented his identity. Fast forward several years, and I was reminded of the message. A gentleman by the name of Bruce, who was a competitor of mine, he was a branch manager for a fierce competitor in St. Louis. That competitor was the US market leader, number 2 in the world. I wanted Bruce on my team. So I recruited Bruce to join the organization. It wasn't easy. Took a lot of trust from Bruce to come to my family business from where he was. Bruce joined, became a client service portfolio manager in the St. Louis branch, managed a portfolio of high-profile jobs, and did an exceptional job. In that job, Bruce, in a traditional hierarchical structure, worked about 4 layers, maybe 5 layers behind me, but I have an open-door policy, and it wasn't unusual for Bruce to come visit me. Bruce, too, was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Bruce, too, lost the battle. Funeral arrangements were made, went to the funeral home, went to see Bruce. Bruce didn't wear a uniform. Bruce was a manager. Bruce was a very conservative guy. Navy suit, charcoal suit every day. White shirt, blue shirt, conservative tie. Never business casual. When Bruce was laid to rest, Bruce had on his conservative suit, but he didn't have on a white shirt or a blue shirt. He had on a pink shirt. Bruce didn't wear pink. I wear pink. Didn't think anything of it, wasn't talked about. I went to the funeral service the next day. I sat in the back of the congregation with a customer that Bruce serviced. He's a good friend of mine. Beautiful service. At the end of the service, my chief operating officer eulogized Bruce. He was done with the eulogy. Bruce's wife got up to make some closing remarks, and her closing remarks were really to invite family and friends back to the house for drinks, food, camaraderie, and to continue to celebrate Bruce's life. When she was done with that, she paused. And she said to the congregation, she said, "I'm assuming you noticed Bruce's shirt." And she paused again, and she looked up, and she didn't know where I was sitting. But she said, "Greg, that was for you." She said, "Bruce loved his job. Bruce loved your company. And Bruce felt like part of your family." I'm going to come back to Bruce and Vito to close out my comments. Let me tell you about the industry. I work in a very fragmented industry. There are 8,000 competitors. I have 4 competitors who control 53% of the market. That's who I compete with primarily on a daily basis. 2 are publicly owned, 2 are owned by our significant private equity holdings, multi-billion-dollar organizations. 7,996 of us divide the rest of the pie. It is a low-wage industry. I told some of you yesterday, turnover in my space averages between 100 and 300%. Think about that. The challenges of that. Think about the challenges of that in today's economy when unemployment rates are projected to be at 50-year lows. And then it's extremely hard for us to differentiate. So think about differentiating professional service firms, accounting firms, EY, Deloitte, PwC. You can't differentiate. Very hard. Same thing occurs in our space. So my company is a pretty simple business model. The big company is a contract security staffing service. Operates in 15 vertical markets. You find us in hospitals, you find us in malls, you find us on college campuses, you find us in corporate headquarter facilities, you find us in commercial properties, large manufacturing facilities. It's a permanent placement and an outsourced business. It was founded almost 70 years ago by my great uncle. I'm third generation, arguably third generation, in a business that was never intended to be a family business. My dad took over. Jim passed away in 1969 unexpectedly. My dad that took over the firm in 69, built a small local company, told the family to go do something else. But I was given an opportunity to join in 1989, 1990. 70 years later, our organization, looks much different. Traditional guard service is now a professional outsourcing service, primarily in the security space. We also outsource fire departments and EMT services. Grown from a small local company, so I'm now one of the 2 largest privately owned companies, if I discount private equity, in the US. 10,000 employees, operate in 31 states, and I've had a pretty good run. All organic. Compound annual growth rate since I joined the firm is about 18%, and we're on track this year to do another, through May, on track to do another 24. Remember, it's accelerated growth without risking capital, profit streams, and no debt. There's a lot of litter and a lot of failure along the way. So our culture, everybody has a mission statement, everybody has core values. This isn't our secret sauce. Keeps us grounded. It's part of our uniform. Expected to have it on you at all times. Got mine in my pocket. We have what's called the Whelan Way. You hear more about this within my organization than you hear about the core values. We work hard, we do the right thing, we build trust-based relationships, we protect our brand, drive earnings, make a difference, give back, and we have fun. It's all about effort, character, results, and care. We have 3 concepts by which we manage our internal organization. I don't have time to define them all in detail, but the first is an inverted organizational chart, and I would assume this is not new to many of you. But to put this in perspective, imagine if your performance evaluations within your organization were not top-down, were not 360, but they all came bottom-up. So key performance metrics are provided to a manager, but the manager is only evaluated by subordinate personnel. Changes the way people operate. We study and we work hard at what we can do in our industry and our space as it relates to employee engagement and servant leadership. Those are the 3 kind of magic buttons. I've shared some of my traditions, personal traditions, family traditions with Dave. Again, in 20 minutes, I can't share everything that we do for our employees to make them feel like our family. But an inverted org chart, employee engagement, servant leadership are the backbone of our organization. But when people ask, Greg, how are you really getting it done? I mean, how are you achieving 30 years worth of growth at 18%? At your size, how are you producing 24% organic growth without debt, without the need for capital? And what I tell people is that there's really no secret sauce, right? I mean, I have an incredible talent acquisition group, creative talent acquisition strategy. We think it's harder to come to work for Whelan than it is our competitors. The industry-leading employee benefit program, innovative quality assurance measurement program, first in the industry, fairly robust training on top of what's regulated. But that's not what's getting it done. What's getting it done is you got to remember that my 4 primary competitors 2 are publicly owned, short-term outlook. 2 are significant private equity holdings, same situation. I'm a family-owned business. I'm an evergreen company. This is the secret to my growth. My outlook is significantly different. My expectations are significantly different than the people I compete with on a daily basis. What I didn't say about our industry is that I'd argue there's no growth. The industry chart that I put up there showed organic growth at 5%, but the fact of the matter is that the industry grew from 2006 to 2016 at a rate of 3.3%. Through 2021, it's expected to grow at 2.2%. That's not growth. That's not even wage inflation. So the way I win is by taking market share. And when you have character traits like this, like you do in a family business, when you have the values of an evergreen company, I can't say it's easy, but it's easy to take market share from publicly held companies and those that are backed by private equity. It's interesting for me that when I talked to Dave, this is already what we were selling, this is already what we believed in. They align pretty closely with what this organization is all about. So let me come back to what's important to me, and that most important lesson that I've learned in my career. Learned it in my 20s, reminded in my early 30s. Never forgotten the vision of Vito. Most people in my organization have heard the story of Vito. But the lesson was not that my company had become his identity. The lesson was the importance of emotional connections with employees and teaching your managers how to develop, reminding your managers how to develop emotional connections with employees. And the goal is to get your employees then emotionally connected to your brand. And what I like to tell people is that employee engagement, servant leadership, inverted organizational chart are great. We all work on work environment, work conditions, compensation and benefit strategies, opportunities for advancement, professional development. We all want to take great care of our employees. A lot of us refer to employees as most valued asset in an organization. That's great. But if you can connect on an emotional level, it's even better. And what I would like to share is that employees across all levels of an organization are extraordinarily powerful for your company and your brand if they're treated with the unconditional love found in a functional family, as opposed to just a valued asset of an organization. Thank you.